The Liberty Weekly podcast is brought to you by Tom Wood's Liberty Classroom. Sick of losing arguments with your statist friends? Fear no more. Now you can vanquish your intellectual foes with courses taught by top libertarian professors. Tool your intellectual arsenal and enroll today by navigating to www.libertyweekly.net/Liberty Classroom or by following the link in the show notes page.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Liberty Weekly podcast. I'm your host, Patrick McFarlane, and joining me today is a very special guest, Shaheen. Welcome, Shaheen, to the show. How are you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Why don't you just take a second to explain to the audience who you are and where you're from?
All right. My name is Shaheen, an Anarcho-Capitalist Rothbardian from Iran. Well, I'm not living in Iran right now. I'm living in Australia, hence my G'day mate accent. But yeah, originally from Iran.
Nice, man. And I met Shaheen on Twitter, but also through our buddies Robert and Daniel at the actual Anarchy podcast. Shaheen was on doing The Dark Knight. You were on 3 times, right?
Yeah, Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. Very good stuff. I'll definitely link to those appearances in the show notes page here. We've been talking for a little bit already as part of the pre-show available for Patreon subscribers at patreon.com/Liberty Weekly. But I wanted to ask a little bit about your background, being born in Iran and then coming to Australia. What's the story with that?
Well, I was born in Iran, but both my parents were very anti-Islamic, they were very against the government there. I've always had this thing where I've always been kind of against the government, no matter where I live. So we hated it, very anti-establishment. So we just thought, fuck it, we'll leave. We're not like refugees who'd leave to get Centrelink or welfare. Welfare here is called Centrelink. We didn't come for welfare. And both my parents were doctors, and we just came to be in a non-Islamic free place.
And how come they chose Australia?
It was the easiest one to get into.
Okay.
They offered my dad a job to get his PhD and then to work at the hospital here. So we just came.
And how old were you when that happened?
I was 5, but also adding to the previous comment, my dad was also looking at Canada at the time because we were actually meant to go to Canada first, but then we picked Australia. Now I'm fucking glad. I mean, Australia is pretty shit. It's pretty statist, but I'm fucking glad we didn't go to Canada.
Yeah, Canada sucks, man. I love.
Then maybe I would have been able to come to the US. So
maybe then.
Better.
Well, I love Canada, and shout out to all my Canadian listeners because I'm a big hockey fan, and ice hockey's pretty important. But damn, there's some bad shit going on there.
And I don't mean to be Canadist or anything.
No,
but yeah, it's just Trudeau. Just get rid of Trudeau, Canadians. Get rid of him.
Oh, you mean what? Fidel Castro's son, right?
Oh yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yeah, I saw that. He has a 96% resemblance with Castro.
Yeah, it's the nose.
And it's the whole facial structure. And it's funny because his mother, was it Margaret Trudeau? She actually went to Cuba.
Yeah, wasn't she famous for being a whore or something?
Yeah, very promiscuous as well. So you never know. It'll be so fucking hilarious if this all turns out to be true.
Yeah, it's probably like the whole birther thing with Obama and his real birth certificate.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, kind of a foregone conclusion now, because if it came out, if they proved it, it'd be like, well, he already did all the damage. So,
speaking of Obama, have you seen Malik?
Yes, yeah, he is captain in the Twitter wars, right? He's a meme veteran.
It's unbelievable that Barack Obama's brother, not only did he go as Trump's guest to one of the debates, he also goes around calling everyone thoughts and cucks on Twitter. It's awesome. Absolutely amazing. Some people say, "Oh, that's very unprofessional." They're like, just shut up. Like, whoever does that is like the Hillary Clinton supporters. We've got some of them who, like, when they were 15 or 16 in high school, they were acting all professional and going to the political clubs and joining the statist left-wing political groups.
I'm looking at Malik's Twitter now. Well, yeah, your comments remind me of the newest South Park episode. And I'm a huge fan of South Park, even though they could be more libertarian, in my opinion. Because they seem to be like mainstream LP libertarians, like minarchist leaning left, culturally left.
Yeah. That's something I've noticed in all the, in the popular culture geared towards, immature guys. Like video games. I say immature as in not actually immature, but that we're open about having fun. We don't have sticks shoved up our asses. Like video games, you have the Bioshocks and everything. I mean, I think there was a study that gamers are far more likely to want legal drugs and legal guns.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've never heard that though. It makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's just common sense for us. And gaming, I've always been a bit of a gamer, not too much, but still played a lot more when I was a kid. And I remember what got me into politics. It was 3 or 4 years ago, and the whole Gamergate thing. How they wanted fat Tekken characters, and the girls in Tekken are really hot. They wanted to make them fat because of body positivity. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? And then I heard they're trying to censor games like Extreme Beach Volleyball. I'm like, nah, fuck this.
Yeah, they're gonna collapse their own industry. The newest South Park though was have you seen it? The newest episode came out like last Wednesday.
No, haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay. Do you watch it all?
I did before, but not too much.
Okay.
It is pretty fucking hilarious.
Yeah. I've been a fan for quite some time. I think in their more recent episodes, they've kind of taken a step back or two. But this one was, I don't know, it was kind of criticizing Trump for tweeting about Kim Jong-un and trying to start a war. It was pretty, I think this episode was the newest one. Or no, it was the best one that I've seen in like a decade. Except at the end, it was criticizing Obama for being on Twitter. And I disagree with that because I think, did I say Obama? I meant to say Trump. Yeah, Trump being on Twitter has been the most entertaining thing probably ever in politics. Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He retweeted Hillary getting slammed in the ring and him hitting a golf ball, making a trip over. I think he did it with the actual POTUS account. So it's going to be on the archives forever.
Oh, that's great. How could anyone be upset with that?
Amazing.
And
I don't know.
I honestly don't think either, because other people, even in the libertarian circles, have been saying that Trump is going to walk us into World War III with one of his tweets. I just don't think that would be the case. I couldn't see that.
And even if he does, we'll still be so much better than if Hillary Clinton got it. I mean, Walter Block said it himself. He wakes up every morning thankful and happy that Hillary didn't win.
Oh, yeah. I am as well. I don't know if it was... I was on with Mance Raider the other day, and he was talking about how his wife is reading Hillary Clinton's book just for kicks and giggles, The
one that says what happened?
Yeah.
Doesn't she blame like 50 different things for why she lost?
Oh, like, I'm sure.
Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. But there was a part of it, what was he saying? That hinted for sure that she probably would have signed an executive order grabbing all the guns or something. And I don't know. I wonder if Donald Trump because he's doing a lot of things, he's like basically George W. Bush 2.0 now.
Yeah.
I think, but I wonder if ultimately him being elected really changed anything or saved,
I think it just kept it. Like, it could have gone far worse, or it could have just stayed on the shit it is now.
Yeah.
I know that Hillary wanted to, I think that she was reading out, this was a while ago, InfoWars and Breitbart articles, and she like the titles by Milo, and she said we need to ban these and not let these get to people. And then people put on Trump to be more authoritarian than her. Trump wants to slice 75% of economic regulations. I just don't see how they can do that.
Yeah, no, not from an executive position. I'm so skeptical he's going to get anything done, like, tax reform or anything like that. But it's all depressing. Yeah, but so why don't we talk a little bit about what's going on in Australia, about your campus specifically, because I've heard quite a few stories.
All right. Well, my university we have four main political groups, pretty much. We have here in Australia, the Conservatives are called the Liberals, the Liberal Party. It's the more right-wing Liberal Party, which includes the neocons and the classical liberals. Then we have the Labour Party, which is pretty much the Democrats. There's two different groups of these. There's the Labour right and Labour left. Labour right are the lefties who they tend to be a bit older. They want all the economic policies of the communists and the leftists, but they're culturally okay. Like they're not gonna get mad at you for saying a racist joke. They'll laugh along and say their own racist jokes as well. They're like cultural libertarians, but just economic leftists, fiscally leftists. Then you get Labour left, which is economically just as bad as the other Labour, if not worse, but socially fucking cultural Marxists. Then we have the SALT group, which is the Socialist Alternative Group, they're just the Antifa of Australia, pretty much.
And does that sum up the political sphere?
Yeah, pretty much. There's a libertarian group, but we only have like 5 people in it.
Yeah.
I joined earlier this year and just go to the meetings, talk to the guys.
Are they mostly guys?
I don't think I've seen a single girl at the meetings. Like during we had a big festival. As big festival, I mean like 25 people showed up. That's what big means for libertarians in Australia. We had a couple of girls who were wives of some of the guys.
But that was it.
Yeah.
That kind of sounds like my own experience at the University of Minnesota campus. So I don't know if I've told this story before on the show, but when I joined, it was right after 2012 in the Ron Paul craze. And so apparently the group had been getting about 50 or 60 members at meetings every week, which was huge. And then when I joined, there were about 5 people in it.
Wow.
So
how does it drop like that?
Ron Paul he got screwed over. Which makes me think that, it makes me wonder if people jumping on the bandwagon for Ron Paul, if there was any staying power. Because I mean, there was staying power, but a lot of those members just left for greener pastures, like Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I never got that. I mean, how can someone who supports Ron Paul go and support Bernie Sanders?
Yeah, I think it's because they're just trend followers. They're like sheeple. They stay on for the hope and change message, and they don't dig any deeper of that. Maybe that's just a reflection of what Bernie Sanders supporters are. Just surface level, they believe in the hope and change message.
That really strikes me as weird because I'm like, and probably you as well, and other ANCAPs, we all stick to principles so much.
Yeah.
And we never go on with any candidate or any group. Well, okay, libertarian principles. That's always what we're thinking about. So then to see people go from Ron Paul to Bernie Sanders and just say, oh, they just follow a trend. I can't comprehend that, how someone could even do that.
Yeah, it's such surface level. Well, I think it has to do with like being cool. I mean, just drawing from my own experience, I guess, when I was in 9th grade, I thought Obama was cool because he was young and he was different and I didn't know anything about anything. And everyone liked Obama. And that was right when I started getting involved with politics. And then I quickly turned to being like a conservative person, like a liberty conservative. And then when I went to college, I discovered Ron Paul. And then I discovered Rothbard, and through Stefan Molyneux, actually. But and then I went full ANCAP. Yeah, that's kind of the progression.
Yeah, I'll tell you how I went. I mean, I was always a centrist. Like, I'd see left-wing arguments, but I just never took them seriously. Like, you see all these safe spaces and everything. I always thought that was ridiculous. Me and my group, we always like making fun of stuff. Like ever since I was a kid, I would have been 13 or 14. I would have been making 9/11 jokes, Holocaust jokes, racist jokes, whatever, about the Jews, about blacks, about Asians, just everything.
Yeah.
It was just funny. And the more offended people got, the funnier it got because less people would do it. And like my experience is most people are actually okay with this. Like I'd say 90%, 85, 90% of people, well, the ones that I had the balls to say the jokes to, the most of them are just fine with the racist jokes. They'll laugh along. Many of them won't say it themselves, but they'll laugh when someone else says it. But this was a while back, and like now you get the whole, oh, you digital blackface is racism or whatever the fuck that means. Okay, so I had some left-wing friends, and they'd all be, oh, look at this. This guy's good. That guy's bad. That guy's just an idiot. Conservatives just want to go backwards. That's something I hear a lot. They want to invest in the past and go backwards, which makes no sense. I mean, there's nothing in conservatism that I've read that actually supports that. I'm not a conservative myself, but the conservatives value, what do they value? Traditional culture, limited government,
family units,
family values, and like a free market, pretty much. And like they're the core conservative values. And there's nothing about trying to prevent progression to the future. If anything, there'll be more progression because of the free market. Whereas, so now I know what the lefties mean. When you're opposed to government subsidies for R&D and development and new energy programs and green energy and just shit like that, then you must be against progress. That reminds me of what the Libertarian Party's been saying, how the Mises Institute's been dog whistling to neo-Nazis or something.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
I'm trying to get an interview with whoever the head of the Mises Caucus is. Have you been invited to that on Facebook?
I'm not really involved on Facebook with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, good for you. I got sucked in again because of the show, but I had divorced myself from Facebook. But you were saying again how you came to libertarianism.
Oh yeah. So then it's really funny. I start doing some pickup. Like I start learning how to talk to girls, and I touched up on this on Robert and Daniel's show as well on Actual Anarchy. Make sure you go there as well. And yeah, so just went around doing pickup, talk to different girls, and then I hear that some pickup artists are getting banned because they're quote misogynists. I thought that's not true. We're not even doing anything. We're not hitting them. We're just talking to them and smashing. And then hear more about how, we need to ban this, regulate that, and the whole Gamergate as well. So altogether just came down and I thought, holy shit, feminism is cancer. And then I just found out about the wage gap, which I found was debunked. Then like the rape culture bullshit. I saw some of Lauren Southern's videos in 2015. It was pretty much early 2015 that I saw this. So then I was like, wow, what the hell is all this? So, and you know InfoWars, right?
Yep.
Yeah, obviously you would. What libertarian doesn't?
Yeah.
Paul Joseph Watson?
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, his videos were what changed me. He was like, I would have been sometimes at school, for doing homework. It would have been home, at school, wherever. I just have his videos up on my computer, just be watching him. And people would come out like, oh, who's this? I'd be like, oh, that's one of my teachers. I'm listening to an online class. So
oh my God.
That's how frequently I was on.
Genius.
Yeah, and he makes some really good points, like defense capitalism heaps. Like that's the video. Like he has a video on capitalism called "Why Capitalism is Great," and that was the video that actually made me realize that free market capitalism is the best.
Yeah, For me, there was always, I don't know if this is similar to you, but I always had those inner truths that I knew were true, but I didn't know how to articulate them or why they were true. Did you have that experience?
Yeah.
I think with me, I first got into Milton Friedman, and then he wasn't free market enough.
Yeah.
And Rothbard. So how did you come across Rothbard then?
Moving forward about that, so I started listening to heaps of Paul Joseph Watson. Then for about a year, I'm just watching InfoWars here and there, learn about a bit of nationalism, learn about this random stuff. And then approximately would be exactly a year ago, like early October 2016, so almost a year ago, I stumbled across this video that says they're trying to sell the internet domain or something, like what Obama was doing with the UN and the internet rights. I forget what it was exactly about. It was a video by Stefan Molyneux, and then a few days later, like we failed to do anything about it, and it got sold off. Or did you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I thought, wow, this guy's videos are really good. I'll just keep watching. And I was already a libertarian at this point. So I kept listening, kept watching. And then I went through some of his older videos. And like the arguments that he makes about anarchism and like against voting and against statism and the passion that he has for those arguments, that was so strong that that I came to realize that anarchy is philosophically perfect. And this is how I always try to convert people. I try to get them to accept that it's philosophically perfect. I mean, most of them are going to say, okay, I'm an anarchist, because most of us capitalists, like, we associate anarchism with, like leftist anarchism, the lawlessness and, just do whatever you want, there's no property or whatever, no laws. So, I didn't actually set out to be an anarchist. I don't think any of us ANCAPs did. So when I hear his arguments for anarchy, I couldn't believe him. It was really hard on me. And I was like, I'll just be a minarchist. His arguments are good, but let's just keep the monopoly on force. And I didn't think of it that way. But then, like, more and more, I thought, it took about 6 months, and a lot of Mance Raiders memes as well. Shout out to him.
Yeah, he's
great. After 6 months, I'm an anarchist. And like after watching a couple of Stefan's videos, I went around Googling the stuff, and I came across this website called Mises Institute. And I thought, okay, what's this? It's a good website, seems to support everything that all my prejudices. So I went on, read a couple of the stuff. I'm like, wow, Austrian economics, huh? Who's this Mises guy? I downloaded Human Action, tried reading, couldn't get past the first page. So I was like, okay, let's turn back. Got Hazlitt's book, Economics in One Lesson, read that. Got Peter Schiff's books, read that. And then heard of this guy called Rothbard. So I thought, okay, who's this? Watched a couple of his seminars. I thought, holy crap, this guy's a genius. And that laughter, just brilliant.
Hell yeah. I came through Molyneux too, and I wish you just took me back there, because I had almost the same experience, and I wish I could redo it, man. I wish I could replay it, because it was quite the intellectual journey.
Oh yeah. Recently, something that blew my mind. Like, I haven't had my mind blown in like a year now. It was Hans Hermann Hoppe's Democracy, The God That Fell. Haven't read it yet. Got the book, but I saw a seminar on it. It wasn't a seminar. It was, I think, the Tom Woods show. Tom Woods did an episode on monarchy versus democracy, and the arguments that Hoppe makes against democracy were so strong that I was in that shock again. And I just couldn't believe, like, wow, so democracy is so bad that monarchy is actually favorable. I mean, obviously, anarchy is favorable to everything, but wow.
I agree with, I did read Democracy. I didn't read all of it. I downloaded the PDF and got through as much as I could without being distracted by something else. But it is very compelling, and I think it's great. That was when I started hating democracy. And the thing that really bugs me is when people say that the United States is a democracy, or they talk about our democracy, because it never was a democracy.
Yeah, it's a republic. If they want a democracy, there's the French Revolution for that.
Exactly, and they had warned about, the founding fathers warned about democracy and mob rule, and that's
Didn't they label it as two wolves and a sheep deciding on dinner? That's the best word. That's the best analogy I always come up with. I always say to people.
Yep, and I know Jefferson warned against the murderous Jacobins of France, and from my perspective, anyone that knows anything about American history and the founding knows that we're not a democracy, and never were supposed to be. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
But damn, yeah. So why don't we talk? Do you feel? Can you defend Hoppe?
On what grounds?
On any grounds. I mean, the ANCAP hate for Hoppe currently. The left ANCAP.
Wait, is there a left ANCAP group? Because I always thought the left libertarians were like the libertarian socialist caucus who want, rent is theft. That group.
Okay. Yep. You're right. But so it's the same kind of crowd that is condemning the Mises Institute is calling Hoppe this terrible person. But did you see that Tom Woods episode defending Hoppe just recently?
Yeah, I saw that. That was a really good episode.
Yeah, I'll have to link to that in the show notes page. But what about I have not read up on the physical removal thing. Can you explain that?
Well, from my understanding, I haven't read too much about Hoppe's work yet. I'm still a novice at economics. But from what my understanding is that Hoppe advocates for a social order, a voluntary social order, like based on private property, like of people with, I think it's called a low time preference. Basically, it means you invest in your time and you don't just waste it doing anything. You invest your time to like raise better kids and to maintain a libertarian social order. So certain people, like maybe communists and Democrats and people with a high time preference who like to have lots of gratification now instead of delaying gratification to invest and build up and be accountable, they won't be allowed in the group, in the community. We're in the community, let's say like we get like heaps of people who all delay gratification and respect private property rights and not communists or Democrats. Area, we all buy the land, and by contract, all of us have to have this mentality, like a certain mentality. So, and then we get to kick out anyone who doesn't have the mentality. But then again, they wouldn't actually be there because it's all based through private property. That's the way I view it. So we all just pretty much just buy heaps of land, and the community is pretty much owned by like-minded people, and they don't let other minds in there.
And then that makes total sense to me. And then so just anyone who comes in and is stirring up shit can be physically removed from this private property order.
Pretty much. I mean, wouldn't that be the same regardless though? I mean, if someone comes to my house and tries to do stuff that I don't like, let's just say.
Yeah.
I should be able to just kick him out. It's not a dictatorship because it's my property. It would be a dictatorship if I'm forced to let them in. And besides, they can go form their own private. Like Hoppe says this as well. They're allowed to go make their own societies as well. We're not banning them from being humans or owning private property. They're allowed to do what they want. Communists can go form their own communist nation and starve to death. And the neo-Nazis can go new small Nazi state as long as they don't harm anyone. Like a national socialist mini state with all 300 of them and, all men. Have fun having more white babies when there's not a single woman there, but yeah. And so yeah, I'm fine with any groups as long as they're peaceful, even communists and them. Even though I culturally disagree with them and I'll make fun of them and call them fucking idiots, they do have the right to form their own societies.
Yeah,
that's what I believe.
Yeah,
I agree. Private property,
definitely. So, but turning from that a little bit, do you have any like horror stories from your campus experience?
Oh, horror stories. I don't really get out too much. I printed off the picture of there's an ANCAP flag and then there's a Pepe hopper.
Yeah.
There's a Pepe hopper in front holding a gun. I printed that off and went sticking it around the campus, but no one would actually understand the reference. They wouldn't know what the flag means or who Hopper is. They just recognize the Pepe, like, oh, it's the white supremacist symbol.
Yeah. Have there been any? So I guess you guys don't really get any like Antifa demonstrations around, do you? Like,
I think they did. They're called SALT.
Yeah.
Not just because they're salty, but because they're a socialist alternative.
But do they tip over trash cans over there as well?
Nah. Australia, we're a lot more laid back in all terms, like politics. Even the fucking crazy lefties are more laid back here.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but what they do is, they're just cultural Marxists. That's the main problem with them. They're not even. I mean, they're a bunch of teenage kids who wear panties. They're not going to be a problem. Like I remember the first day of school, the first day of university. I went to campus, just walking around. This kid comes up to me and says, "Oh, would you like to sign a petition?" I instantly say no because I'm not a petition kind of person. Then he says, "Oh, but it's against Donald Trump." I'm like, okay, so some kid in Australia signs a petition, and because of that petition, Donald Trump resigns as president. Is that what they're aiming for? Like, it's just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. You know, I kind of feel the same way about protesting, and you can agree or disagree with this, but I think it's a waste of fucking time. It's like it's an appeal to authority, in my opinion. Like you're going out, and I think it's not only is it an appeal to authority, but it's a recognition of authority, because you know, what else would you be doing? You're asking them to not do something or to do something different.
I never thought of it that way, because I never gave much thought to protest, because I've never been a protester. I've always had something better to do. I might support a protest by giving them a like on Facebook or donating to like an institution like the Mises Institute, but they don't really have any protests, do they?
No,
they're too smart for it.
I think the only time I would protest is like right now in Catalonia, the hundreds of thousands of people going out and demonstrating for secession. I think that's the only time. But then you're just advocating a different, smaller government.
At least you're doing something, though.
Yeah.
From what I've come to learn, that it doesn't matter what kind of government you have, as long as there's a government and people can vote, it's going to fuck up.
Yes. Yeah. And that's how I thought that was the most compelling argument for me in favor of a stateless society is realizing that even the most well-intentioned, best philosophically rooted founding of a government is still going to end up in, you know, the biggest police state empire the world has ever seen.
I think this was Hopper's work as well, from Economics and Ethics of Private Property. He writes that like a monarchy would grow up to be the biggest government because like look at US monarchy, so it's a monarchy, so it's economically free. It becomes economically strong, builds up a lot of wealth. So then there's more of an incentive for politicians to go there and spend and get power. So then it starts growing and growing, and then they expand, and it becomes a huge state.
I do have the Economics and Ethics of Private Property, but the problem with it is that I accidentally ordered the large print version. So
that's the one I got as well.
Is it?
Yeah, the large print one.
That's so funny. I think the first chapter is just genius. And I don't get the Hoppe hate. I think a lot of it is straw manning, essentially. Which is...
I mean, a lot of people think he's a monarchist. They don't realize that he was saying that monarchy is better than democracy to show how shit democracy is.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's saying, if democracy is so bad that monarchy would be better. Because he's an anarchist. He's always been an anarchist. So, I mean, as soon as Rothbard, I don't know how he could not be a libertarian. I mean, people fail to realize, I mean, this was on the Tom Woods show as well, that Hopper got kicked out of the John Randolph Club. Conservatives, which are the most libertarian conservatives, he called them Nazis. They're saying that your economic policies are similar to that of the Nazis because they were nationalists.
Hoppe called them Nazis? See, I haven't listened to the Tom Woods episode, and here I am fucking recommending it on my show. Yeah.
Hoppe said that one of them, this was after Rothbard died in 1996, and there was the John Randolph Club where paleoconservatives and libertarians went together to form like an allegiance. The anti-war right-wingers, pretty much. And when I say right-winger, I always imagine libertarians as being on the right. Because if you're a capitalist, in my mind, you're just a right-winger. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I think the same way, actually, yeah.
Yeah. So then the peaceful right-wingers had a meeting, and the paleoconservatives, which are the most libertarian conservatives, they were still nationalists. And since Murray was on, because Murray was the reason they were still banding together, because he always maintained the peace throughout the groups. Like I said, okay, you don't need to say this, don't need to do that, just turn it down here. But Hoppe saw one of them. I think one of them made a huge argument against free trade and why we need economic nationalism and everything. So Hoppe just made fun of him the whole night, I think. I don't remember probably, but Hoppe just without saying his name, but just made fun of his arguments while the guy could hear it. So then a huge fight broke out, and Hoppe said, "Oh, this makes you a fucking Nazi if you advocate for this stuff." And then the libertarians just stopped going to the whole thing.
Do you know if the paleoconservatives were against the Fed or not?
I'm not sure.
Because my grandfather was a paleoconservative, and at least I think he was, trying to piece together, because my family knew him, and they have no idea about Rothbard and stuff. So I've been trying to piece together what he believed from, the various possessions that I have of his.
Yeah. This is why it's important for everyone to have like a journal where they write everything in.
Exactly.
I've got one. Like I guess if when I pass away, like my kids or grandkids can just look through my Twitter.
Yeah.
They'll fucking see a picture. They'll see a picture of Thomas Jefferson, and like a fake quote saying "sell drugs, run guns, nail sluts, and fuck the law." They'll know what kind of person I was.
Oh, we're gonna be so more relatable than our grandparents, I think.
Oh yeah. The thing is, like, the thing that scares me is if like a New World Order thing does happen and they do try to usually like in the movies I've seen this, they take out the first line of defense. Like first they murder all the important like people who would have stood up against it. I feel like I'd be on that list just for what I've shared on Twitter and like all the things that I'm doing, all the things that I've read. Like they probably just come kill everyone who's read Rothbard. That'll be the first thing they do.
Yeah. I like to think that the NSA is listening and that I'm on a watch list, but I'm probably not that important.
You never know. Lou Rockwell.
Yeah.
Obviously, his website, lourockwell.com. That's been on a CIA watch list since the 80s or whenever it was established.
Oh, is it? Damn. Maybe you get a tracker just by going there. Or antiwar.com as well.
That got labeled as fake news by some leftist people.
Oh, was
last
it?
Year.
Yeah, that Harvard professor that went on the rage. Of course,
that's so dumb.
Yeah, I love this, man. Like one of the best things about doing the show is getting to know other ANCAPs and libertarians and having. It feels so good to rebel, doesn't it?
I absolutely. Like I still. I mean, have you played Call of Duty Black Ops?
No, not yet.
There's a level where you're stuck in like a Russian gulag and you have to escape. And the level's so exciting that like I played this when I was in year 8. So year 9, year 10, all through high school, every time we had a sports day, and towards the end, just pretty much any day that we just felt like it, we just run out of school. And the rush that you get from doing that, it's not fun at university anymore because no one's holding you back. But like in high school, they've built walls to keep you in, and there's patrol guards like the teachers walking around, and fuck, it's so much fun to run away,
to escape, to do something that you're not supposed to be doing.
Oh yeah, that's the only thing I miss and regret about high school is that I didn't skip enough classes. And I know some people that just would tell the teachers they had guitar lessons. And then they just walk over to McDonald's and sit there for the rest of the day and just eat. But like that's not fun enough for me. For me, I'd rather say, okay, I'm going to the toilet and then just not coming back for I don't know the rest of the day because I jumped over the gate and ran through the park out of the school.
Now they're gonna start taking kids away for not going to school from their parents. I think it's it's happening. It's happened in Utah and stuff. That's just ridiculous.
Yikes. Yeah,
I think
that's crazy.
Yeah, at our high school, this goes to show what life is like in small town Wisconsin. Is that we got a Walmart in town, and about half of the senior class skipped to go hang out at Walmart all day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I spent all of my high school, like pretty much like towards the end of high school, I would have been just discovered Stefan Molyneux and like Rothbard and them. So I'd spent pretty much all of high school just watching the videos, watching podcasts and stuff like in class, just put the headphones in, pretend to be writing stuff while I'd just be listening to politics all day. And I'd stay up like late nights just while I had like assignments and tests. I don't think I studied for a single test on time or got a single assignment drafted even. I still passed everything, thankfully. I don't know how I did that. But yeah, it was just fun.
Well, you were busy getting a real education.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I still think I would have been far better off if I took the Ron Paul homeschool thing.
Oh yeah. I want to. If I had all the time in the world and didn't live in the city that I live in, because it's oppressive and it saps all my motivation. Yeah, I would just, I don't know, I would just learn all day. Trying to, because I'm probably going to have some kids in the next 3 or 4 years, and I'm wondering what I'm going to do, grappling with these, like to circumcise or not circumcise, or to homeschool, to not homeschool.
Can you go to university from homeschooling? Or do you have to do like a foundation course or?
I don't know, actually. I know you can get a degree remotely, like completely remotely.
Like what I mean is like you get homeschooled for like all of like primary and high school, but then after that you attend an actual university.
Yeah. Yes, you can do that.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, a lot of people say that, or like, so there's something that I thought of as well. The problem with a homeschool is that the kids wouldn't have many friends and peers and everything. But then, like, why don't you just go out and have them meet other people? Like, join a sports club. It's a good way to meet friends. And just tell them to go out and meet people at the park. I mean, for kids, it's easy to make friends.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even that hard as an adult because you just have to be a bit more socially savvy. And I'm not really that good at it, but just been since the whole pickup thing, I've definitely improved. Like before, I just oh god, embarrassing romantic like high school stories. One time I went to like this was early on. This was years and years ago. I liked this girl, so then I bought a rose. Oh god, I feel I'm cringing while I'm saying this. And I took it to her, and I was gonna say something, but she quickly did it and say thanks, and just ran off. Fucking hilarious.
That if it makes you feel any better, one time I think I was in like I was pretty young, maybe like 8, and I got a crush on the girl down the street. And I remember walking down there with the neighbor kid, and I had a envelope full of Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh cards or something. And I wrote a little letter and I said, "Oh, this one looks like you," and it was like an elf maiden. and so as we're going up to the mailbox, her mom drives by, and instead of just pretending like nothing's wrong, I ran into the woods to hide, which is so much more creepy. Yeah.
That's funny. Did it go well afterwards? Did you end up mailing it?
Yeah, I heard nothing of it after that.
But you gave her a Yu-Gi-Oh card. That's like that's where it's at.
I know.
That's what the women's want.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think maybe we should bring this episode to a close. We're going to hang on for some bonus conversation afterwards for Patreon listeners at patreon.com/Liberty Weekly. But as we're closing up here, Shaheen, is there any way that our listeners can follow you?
Yeah, on Twitter, which will be on the show notes page.
Yep.
I guess. All right. All good. So yeah, follow me on Twitter. Fun stuff all the time.
All right. Do you post a lot of memes and stuff?
I retweet a lot. If I see something stupid, which doesn't happen that often, surprisingly, I will just take a snapshot and put it up. But I usually just retweet and just comment, just shit post heaps. So yeah, lots of good fun.
I've seen your stuff on Twitter, but I follow so many people now with the account promotion and stuff like that. Yeah, but thanks so much for joining me for the show. It's been a real pleasure, man.
No worries. Thanks for having me on.
The Liberty Weekly podcast is brought to you by Tom Wood's Liberty Classroom. Sick of losing arguments with your statist friends? Fear no more. Now you can vanquish your intellectual foes with courses taught by top libertarian professors. Tool your intellectual arsenal and enroll today by navigating to www.libertyweekly.net/Liberty Classroom or by following the link in the show notes page.